my sweeties, and welcome to another episode of Oh My Anime Podcast. This is your host, Mimi Hime, and today we'll be talking about toxic anime culture. So, first, we have to start with how exactly I'm defining toxic anime culture. Obviously, this might be different from you. It might be different from how you see the culture. I'd also like to start off by saying that I don't think all of anime culture is toxic. I think all fandoms, all things that have large groups of people who love and enjoy and engage with any medium of any type have toxic people and toxic behaviors in the culture, in the fandom. I mean, it's unavoidable and it is inevitable. But I feel like a lot of people don't realize how toxic anime culture actually is. And I don't know if it's because they choose to be ignorant, if they're blissfully naive because of privilege, whatever. I don't know. But anyway, these are sort of my definitions. I didn't look it up. I didn't do any prolific research about it. These are just all my personal opinions. So if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You're allowed to disagree with me. You also don't have to listen to this podcast if you don't want to. But the way I'm defining toxic is essentially anything that's harmful or detrimental in a negative way, obviously, towards the people or things that are involved. It's something that just erodes everything around it. It doesn't help. Distasteful, unpleasant, unsettling, all of these things are toxic. And anime culture, I mean, I'm including everything in anime culture, everything from the different fandoms to anime conventions to anime series and manga series and the people who enjoy each of those mediums or both of those mediums. I'm going to at least touch on all of those different things and how they're toxic and how we as fans, we do have an obligation to call out these toxic and harmful behaviors. And maybe you're not aware of them. Maybe you are one of those people who's sort of blissfully naive. Hopefully this episode will, help you be able to identify some of these things when you see them, and you'll be able to help get rid of them because, they shouldn't be in our culture. They shouldn't be in any culture, let alone anime culture. It shouldn't be in any culture whatsoever. And this is not just an anime culture issue. Every fandom under the sun has toxic behaviors, toxic traits, toxic people in that fandom, in that culture. I mean, everything from D&D to extreme couponers to Lord of the Rings, everything that has a fandom, everything that has a base of people, that gather to conventions or have giant groups on Facebook about how much you love or enjoy to hate a certain topic, group, what have you. There's always going to be toxic people. And arguably it's inevitable and I guess one of those things that you can't entirely get rid of altogether. But I mean, some of the stuff that happens, it really just doesn't even need to happen. It just has a lot to do with, like, some of y'all just need to get help. Y'all need to figure out issues. And I get it. I too watch anime sometimes to escape the overwhelming and super depressing realities of the world, politics, the environment, student loans, whatever. I get it. But when y'all bring all of that, like, venom and poison into the fandom and hold, voice actors and voice actresses, to such high regard over things that their fictional character did. I mean, guys, it's it's out of control. So I guess I'll start there. One way that the anime culture is super toxic is the way that fans feel like they like own fictional characters and everything surrounding that fictional character, including the VA. And this, I'm saying VA just so that encompasses voice actor and voice actresses. And hopefully I don't have to keep tripping my tongue over that. So I'm just going to say VA from now on. But I mean, in the last 5 or so years, I can think of numerous situations in which, a character, usually a female character, in a show does something that, the masses hate. And we were supposed to hate it. It wasn't like the character was supposed to be likable in that moment. Obviously, the most recent events that I can think of are characters like Ichigo and Darling in the Franxx, and mine from Rise of the Shield Hero. Um, those two characters, I mean, you're supposed to not like them for whatever their individual reasons are. Obviously, mine was a total bitch. She lied about sexual assault. She lied about rape. She lied about a lot of things. You're not supposed to like her. But to take that out on the VA is just, it's ridiculous. Like, people were sending this lady death threats. I mean, they were threatening her. They were threatening her family. I mean, it's absurd. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the same thing happened to Ichigo's VA, where the fandom literally just lost their shit. I mean, they were in Reddit, and they were literally attacking real people, real studios, real people with real jobs and real families, and y'all are this upset over what's happening in a show. Like, you should be happy that you feel that attached and that connected to a character, that the publishers and the writers and the animators were able to make you that invested. I mean, that means that they did their job right. But then for you to act so barbaric and uncivilized as to then carry that over into the real world and attack real people, are y'all insane? Really though, like, are y'all insane? Because that to me is, it's I mean, it's an indicator that you guys are totally unhinged. I mean, it really, I was just baffled at the community, that there was just that many people in this community that I'm a part of that really took it that far. And I mean, it was a serious issue that I was embarrassed about, and the fact it continues to happen, show after show, it's just totally unacceptable. And I mean, I can't really think of an incident in other fandoms where something happened and people were threatening the lives of real individuals, but that, that could just be because I'm not a part of those fandoms. So for instance, I don't think I've ever heard of, someone attacking, I don't know, Ari's VA in League of Legends because, Blizzard decide to nerf her or whatever. I think Blizzard's in charge of League of Legends, I think. Whatever, but it's the same thing, right? Like, there's not like, times where characters get nerfed or buffed in video games and people get pissed and then they attack the VA of a character. They didn't write the character. They didn't make those decisions. They just read the script. They just did their job. Leave these people alone, okay? It's toxic behavior, and we really should, look at our friends who are in the community with us, and if you see your friend acting foolish, you need to rein them in, because that is just ridiculous. Another toxic thing in anime culture that I think needs to end now, okay? It has been years, decades of this long old argument, and every time you go into a new room full of anime fans at a convention or in a forum, the first thing that people want to ask each other is, are you into subs or are you into dubs? Now, can we just let it go? Okay? Can we just let it go. At the end of the day, the whole point of subs is to make the show more accessible to people that are not Japanese, okay? Yes, we can have a serious and real conversation about the quality of the subtitles themselves and the quality and the education and the time management and the appreciation or lack of appreciation for translators. We can have that conversation. But to have this like huge argument about subtitles versus dubs, and then, the dub person doesn't sound right and you don't like their voice. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I have listened to some dubs and I've been like, wow, that voice doesn't match the character in my head at all. And I've watched some subtitles where, the subtitles are just not right. They're not right. Because I do speak some Japanese. I mean, I'm socially fluent in Japanese. I'm not like, fluent enough that I could tell you how to read, a legal document in Japanese, but I can get around Japan just fine. But I know enough Japanese to the point where I read subtitles and I'm like, that was a very poor translation of what just occurred on the screen. So it's not like, subtitle wise, things are ever going to be perfect. And it's not like dub wise, things are ever going to be perfect. But I need you guys to change your perspective a little bit. Think about the fact that without those subtitles or without the dub, the show probably wouldn't be as popular as it is right now. You might not even be discussing it right now because it wouldn't be accessible. Because unless you knew Japanese word for word in every context, in every show, you wouldn't be able to watch it if it didn't have subtitles of some form or it wasn't dubbed. So I just think this fact that people are so angry and so viscerally upset, if you don't enjoy engaging with anime in the format that they do, that some people will get really pissed off. Like, I know some people will argue that, if you don't watch it subtitled, you're not watching it the real way because at least with the subtitles, you're hearing the original Japanese. Like, who cares? If you can't understand the original Japanese, like, what exactly are you gaining from that experience? Just hearing the original Japanese voices. Like, I don't know how that really adds to anything. I mean, sure, maybe you're getting the intended voice, like vocal range, maybe you're getting the intended passion. I don't know, but if you don't understand it, what difference does it make? Or truly, what difference does it make? If someone can answer that for me, I would be really appreciative. Sure, I have my preferences, but my preferences are based off of convenience. I prefer subtitles because subtitles come out first. I would have to wait longer for shows to get dubbed, and especially since a lot of the shows I watch are not necessarily mainstream shows, A, they might never get dubbed, or B, they might eventually get dubbed. But if I want to watch it while it's airing and while everyone's talking about it and while it's relevant, I have to watch the subtitles. But that doesn't mean I'm like, against dub. I don't have an issue with dub, and I think that we need to stop asking each other how we watch the show. Just enjoy the show. Enjoy the show and enjoy the camaraderie and solidarity of the fact somebody else is watching the show that you seem to also enjoy watching, or maybe you don't enjoy watching it, but guess what, you both watched it and you can have that discussion. So if you're listening, if you ever go to a convention or someone ever asks you again whether you like sub or dub, I hope your answer is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you like. The fact is that you're both here talking about the same show, and that's really all that matters. So, let's see. What's another toxic thing that happens in anime culture? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this next thing, it's not that I don't know. I guess the way I defined it earlier, I've now kind of shot myself in the foot. But I don't necessarily think this next thing is bad. It's more funny. Um, but it's the concept of like, at least in among my circle of friends and the people I've interacted with in the anime community, we have this saying that, quote, your taste in anime is trash, end quote. Um, and we say it to everyone. And I think um, that is kind of super toxic because I guess if you're not a person who grew up around a bunch of people who were saying that to you, you don't understand the intent. So it sounds super trash, like, yo, your taste in shows sucks, my guy. Um, but my friends and I say it to anyone and everyone who watches anime, and that's literally because I mean, at least the intent that I have pulled from it is the fact that no matter who you are, there's always going to be someone who doesn't like or doesn't enjoy the kind of shows that you enjoy, right? So I'm a super like history anime buff. I love anime that have some connection to reality. It doesn't have to be like, super how do I put accurate or historically accurate per se, but I just love when there is some semblance of connection. So, one example is one of my favorite shows is Hakuoki, and it follows the history of the Shinsengumi, the last samurai, just as Westerners were coming to the shores of Japan and they had their guns, and so it was sort of the end of the samurai era because, swords couldn't, adequately compete against gunpowder. Um, and I mean, obviously, like Hakuoki, like does a bunch of other stuff. There are demons in it, things like that, which are totally and obviously not historically accurate. But a lot of the names of the characters in Hakuoki are the names of real samurai and shogun um, captains and generals that did exist during that era. So I really love that. And another example that is a far more removed from reality would be Uma Musume, Pretty Derby, which is the horse girl idol show. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And a majority of the horses and the majority of the cast in Uma Musume are real, like, race horses. They were horses that really existed, and the show does a fairly good job of, if they're focusing on that horse that genuinely existed, the same strengths, the same weaknesses, and the same races that the real racehorse raced, is more or less the storyline that the horse follows in Uma Musume. So things like that, where it's like, I can go look up, what actually happened in history and stuff. I love that. It is one of my favorite things in the world. And obviously, not a lot of people enjoy that about shows, nor do they care about it or pay attention to it, and like that's okay. No one has to enjoy that. As long as I enjoy it and I can find other people who enjoy it with me, that's really all that matters. Another example would just be that I do genuinely enjoy, everyday slice of life anime that don't have a lot going on. I just enjoy a cute little high school romance story without the demons and supernatural phenomena happening. I enjoy that. I enjoy that peace. I enjoy that quiet of slice of life shows. And there are a lot of people who find slice of life shows incredibly dull, incredibly boring, incredibly repetitive. And I understand that. I get that entirely. But I enjoy it. I enjoy that piece. And so, with that being said, yeah, your taste in anime is trash. And I know that's a super toxic thing to say, but I would like to hope that the intent of the message isn't toxic. It's the idea that, like, no matter what you like it. Someone else is going to call it trash, but that's okay. You can still enjoy it. You can still love it. And Yeah, it's still toxic though. Um, and maybe we should stop saying that. I don't think my group of friends and I will stop saying it, but maybe we should stop saying it to people who don't know what we mean. That's probably a good thought. Um, so let's see what else is super toxic in anime culture. We've got things like anime conventions. Anime conventions are toxic because some of y'all are hella nasty. Now, I mean, seriously, can we just, like, how many years have we discussed anime plague and anime funk, guys? Like, really? How many years? It's been so many years. Now, let me just say, like, I just started going to anime conventions when I was in middle school. So middle school was about 2006, 2007-ish is around the time I first started going to anime conventions. And even then, I remember being like, why does it stink in here? Really, guys, why does it stink in here? And it's toxic. It is toxic. And let me explain to you why it's toxic. It's toxic because y'all are doing it on purpose. Y'all are intentionally coming into these cons and being funky. You're intentionally choosing not to wear deodorant. You're intentionally going back home or going to your friends' hotel rooms and you're not utilizing the water and soap in the bathtub and the shower. I mean, it's rude and it's offensive because we are in these tightly packed locations in the dealer's room, in the artist alley, in the game tournament arcade rooms, and all the panels, the workshops. Like, these rooms are relatively tightly packed. We're very close together, and the fact that y'all are so offensively funky in these spaces is toxic because it doesn't need to be like that. And then what happens is then you have new people who are just coming, it's their first time, or you've got parents coming with their children, to supervise them, whatever the case may be. But you've got like normie people walking around, and then they smell y'all being funky, and then they say all of the anime community is funky when it's not all of us, it's just some of us. And some of y'all really need to just invest in a little baggie, a little con baggie, and it just needs to have your essentials in there. I'm not saying you need to rub a dub dub thoroughly in the tub, every night. I get it. Y'all are excited. Some of y'all are, getting up at the crack of dawn, going into the con, and then y'all go to the rave, everything like that. I just ask for some like minimal amounts of effort, right? So I just need y'all to, like, before you go to a con, go to Walmart and get yourself a little to go baggie. I need you to go into the hygiene aisle, and they've got a little travel section of all of your necessities. They've got a small, travel sized toothbrush, travel sized toothpaste, travel sized bottle of mouthwash. They got travel sized deodorant. They've got travel sized body wash, and they've even got little small, not full size, washcloths, just so that you can, get in the little nooks and crannies that you need to get into. And if you are confused as to what your nooks and crannies are, that would be your pits and any crevices, okay? Nooks and crevices are the necessities. So if there is a fold, you need to go in the fold, and you need to rub, and you need to wipe, and I need you to sanitize those areas, because those are the areas that are leaking funk. And it's offensive and it's toxic, and I'm sick of it, because y'all know, because we talk about it before every con, and we talk about it during the con, and we talk about it after the con. So we need to work on that. Other things that are super toxic at anime conventions are the fact that we are still to this day having to talk about cosplay and photo etiquette, or just cosplay etiquette in general. No, cosplay is not consent, guys. We should know that by now. I mean, the fact we even had to come up with the phrase cosplay is not consent is just ridiculous, okay? Just because someone is, in a character who might be provocative and seductive in the show, that does not give you permission to touch them. No, the only way you have permission to touch someone is if they give you verbal consent. And I mean looking you dead in your eye, acknowledging you and telling you that they give you consent to touch them in whatever way that was agreed upon. Photographers, and I mean not just the official, photographers with your nice cameras and everything like that. I'm talking about some of you scumbags with your scumbag zoom on your new fancy phones who be taking pictures of people without asking if you can take pictures of people. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about the people who take, just pictures of the hallway. You're not taking pictures of anyone in particular. I'm talking about people who sit in the hallway and be 20, 30 feet away from someone, and you see a girl and you try to, move your phone in a sly way to get like a panty shot or a booty shot or a titty shot. Like, I'm just saying, like, we see you doing your scumbag zoom. And ladies, you be doing it too with some of the male characters. Everybody be doing it. I be seeing all of y'all doing it, and I call you out on it all the time. So, if you see people doing scumbag zoom, and I mean scumbag zoom is you can see them clearly being a few 20, 30 feet away, taking a picture of somebody way far away that they shouldn't be taking a picture of. Okay? They didn't get consent. They don't need to take the picture. End of story. We need to put an end to that. Cosplay is not consent, and we need to stop pretending like it is, because it's not. I will say another thing, jokingly, it's not really part of anime culture, but it is toxic, is the absurdly high price of concessions at conventions is a little ridiculous, right? Like, I don't know why they think we need to pay $3 or $4 for a bottle of water, but I need anime convention staff to look into that, because that's just not right. Let's see. I mean, I think the only other things that I would really want to cover that are toxic in the anime community is just preferences. Waifus, husbandos. Everyone just live your own life, enjoy your own preferences, find your community, find your people, find your forum, find your Reddit community, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. You do not have to go into other people's forums, into other people's spaces, and trash on characters you don't like. If you don't like a character, you don't have to go into the forum where everyone likes it and talk trash. You don't have to do that. You can go into the forum where everybody else is talking trash about that character and talk trash with those people. I just don't understand why we have to crush each other's joy. There's no reason that we need to crush each other's joy. Let everyone enjoy what they want to enjoy. And if you think that what other people are enjoying is creepy or weird or strange, if it's not actively harming anyone, mind your business. Just mind your business. There are tons of things in the anime culture that are questionable, that are frustrating, and that'll probably be a different episode. But for now, just know that my stance is, if someone is enjoying something and they're enjoying it in the privacy of their own forums among other people that also enjoy it, let those people enjoy what they want to enjoy, honey. You do not need to go burst in someone else's bubble because there ain't nobody else in yours, okay? I am sure if you branch out enough, you will find someone else to join you in your bubble of love or hate of a show or a character or world or what have you, okay? There are plenty of anime fans out there, and yeah, you'll find someone. Oh, I almost forgot about anime versus manga. Do I really need to even talk about that? Look, okay, manga readers, we know that you guys have all the details, and we appreciate you for reading the source material. As you can hear from my, the phrasing I'm using, I am not a manga reader. I very, 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 very rarely read manga. I mean, a show has to be so phenomenally outstanding, or the show had to end on such a ridiculous cliffhanger for me to read the manga. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Just because I'm a busy person and I don't have time to both consume, 18 to 20 airing shows a season and then go read manga. I don't have time for that. I have a full-time job and I'm in school still, getting that PhD. Like, I don't have time. So, yeah, to you manga readers out there, good for you. I'm so happy for you that you are reading the source material. Thank you so much for at least informing us when a whole arc has been skipped. Cough, cough, Promise Neverland. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, thanks for being there for us. But sometimes I need y'all to just hush because y'all be in forums that you know we are just anime only people, and y'all be in there just spoiling everything. Y'all don't have a spoiler tag. Y'all don't be, making it a different color. Y'all don't give a spoiler warning. Nothing. So that's toxic because you know there are people who don't want to know what's going to happen. And like, you can say things when something has been actively omitted, right? So once again, cough cough, like the Promised Neverland, where a like legitimately important significant arc was removed from the anime, which explains why this second season is so terribly rushed and ridiculously paced. That is when y'all can hop into the anime comment section and be like, hey guys, this is ridiculous because a whole arc just got skipped. I can appreciate that. But when y'all just show up out of nowhere, unannounced, unasked for, and be like, yo, X, Y, and Z is about to die. No, don't do that. Now, first of all, I am not someone who really cares about spoilers. I'm going to enjoy a show regardless of whether or not I've been spoiled or not, because guess what? I still have not experienced it. But there are a lot of people out there who really don't like spoilers. So stop being that toxic person who just hops into forums and comment sections and spoils it for people. It's not right and it's not fair. I'm sick of it. Stop doing it. And for the anime only people out there, y'all be toxic too, because y'all be trying to make it seem like anime, I don't know, somehow overwrites what happens in the manga. It doesn't. Like, they can be two separate entities, okay? I remember a time where there legit was, I don't know, I remember a time. I'm not that old, guys. But it's okay for the manga to go in a different direction than the anime. Yes, it's annoying. But there have been shows that have been able to move the story into a different direction in the anime, and it still turned out okay, right? It maybe not great, but it still turned out okay. It still turned out good. It's okay to have two alternate endings. And I think the benefit of having the two alternate endings is that, maybe there's a little bit of something out there for everyone, because maybe your character survives in the anime but they don't survive in the manga, or vice versa. Or maybe the anime brings more clarity to something that the manga didn't, or maybe the manga the manga is always going to bring more clarity because there's always much more in the manga. But I digress. What I'm saying is, anime only people, I have been seeing a lot of people try to pretend like, the anime is the end all be all for the storyline. So like if the anime diverges, it diverges for this great and fantastical reason, and it's way better than the manga. And that mindset needs to be squashed entirely, okay? Once again, if you enjoy the manga, enjoy the manga. If you enjoy the anime, enjoy the anime. But, we need to just stop all this infighting of, the anime is better than the manga or vice versa for whatever reason. Because, just enjoy what you enjoy. And sure, I'm not saying you can't have discussions about it and, argue your point. But to be losing friends over it, guys, like, you're taking it way too seriously. And so, yeah, don't be toxic. Anyway, that's all for today, guys. So, thank you so much for listening, and bye bye now.